Andrew stood at the entrance of his modest living room, surveying the remnants of his birthday party. The remnants of laughter and conversation lingered like a sweet perfume, but the joy that had floated through the air just hours earlier had evaporated, leaving only a heavy weight in his chest. Empty soda cans and crumpled napkins littered the floor, and a half-eaten cake sat forlornly on the coffee table, its frosting smeared from too many eager hands. "Leisha," he called, his voice echoing in the silence. He glanced toward the back of the house, where the sound of laughter had been the loudest just hours ago. "Are you in the kitchen?" No response. Just the hum of the refrigerator and the rustle of leaves outside in the evening breeze. He frowned, stepping further into the room, his gaze flickering to the door that led to the patio. Maybe she had gone outside to get some fresh air. As he moved toward the door, he recalled the moment when he first saw Leisha and Jack together that evening. They had been laughing, a sound that had sent a strange shiver down his spine. The way they looked at each other, the spark in their eyes, it was like a secret flame flickering just out of reach. He had brushed it off, dismissing it as nothing more than friendly banter, but now, the memories twisted in his gut. Andrew pushed open the patio door, the wood creaking softly. The night was cool, the sky a tapestry of stars, but it felt suffocating here. He spotted Leisha and Jack at the far end of the yard, their voices low, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of the string lights overhead. "I just don't think I can keep doing this," Leisha said, her voice barely above a whisper, yet Andrew caught every word. "Shoo, it'll be okay. Just trust me," Jack replied, his tone smooth like honey. "We can figure this out. You don't have to hide from me." Andrew's stomach dropped. He needed to confront them, but his feet felt glued to the ground. Instead, he leaned against the doorframe, listening, heart pounding. "I love you, Jack," Leisha said, her voice trembling. "But I'm scared. I can't hurt Andrew." "Maybe you already have," Jack said, his voice low, almost playful. "He's not the one you want, Leisha, and you know it." Andrew's heart raced as the weight of their words settled in. He felt as if he'd been punched in the gut. He staggered back, desperate to escape the scene unfolding before him, but he couldn't move. Instead, he clenched his fists, the taste of betrayal bitter on his tongue. "Andrew?" Leisha's voice cut through his thoughts, laced with surprise. She turned to look at him, her eyes wide. "What are you doing out here?" He stepped into the light, forcing himself to meet her gaze. "I could ask you the same thing," he said, his voice steady despite the chaos within him. "What's going on?" Jack straightened, a casual smile plastered on his face, but the tension in the air told a different story. "Hey, man. Just having a deep conversation," he said, shrugging as if it were nothing. "Oh, is that what you call it?" Andrew replied, his voice low and dangerous, the anger simmering just beneath the surface. "Because it sounded a lot like you were confessing something." "Andrew, it's not what you think," Leisha said, stepping toward him, her eyes pleading. "We were just..." "Just what?" he interrupted, his voice rising. "Just planning how to keep this from me? How long has this been going on? You think I'm that blind?" "Calm down," Jack said, though his attempt at nonchalance failed. "You're overreacting." "Overreacting?" Andrew laughed, a sound devoid of humor. "You're the one who was supposed to be my friend, Jack. You think this is just some game?" "Andrew, please," Leisha pleaded, reaching for his arm. "It's complicated." "Complicated?" he repeated, pulling away from her touch. "You're in love with him, aren't you? Isn't that what you just said?" Leisha's eyes glistened with unshed tears. "I didn't mean to fall for him. It just happened." Andrew felt his world tilt on its axis. The pain in his chest was a physical ache now, gnawing at him like a relentless predator. "So, what? You just decide to cheat? On my birthday, no less?" "It's not like that," she cried, desperation flooding her voice. "I didn't plan for this. I love you, Andrew, but I love him too. I never wanted to hurt you. You have to believe me." "Believe you?" Andrew scoffed. You expect me to believe that you love me while you're in his arms? Jack stepped forward, a confident smirk on his face. Look, man. You need to back off. Leisha and I. Shut up. Andrew shouted. You don't get to speak. You're nothing but a coward. Jack's smile faded, replaced by a scowl. You don't know what you're talking about. I know that you're a backstabbing snake, and I know that my wife is in love with you. Andrew turned to Leisha, his heart breaking anew. You were my everything, Leisha. How could you do this to me? Tears streamed down her cheeks, and she shook her head, trying to find the words. I don't know. It just happened, I swear. I tried to push it away, but I can't control how I feel. Then maybe you should make a choice, Andrew said, voice cold. Because I won't be your second option. Andrew, please, she begged, stepping closer, desperation etched on her face. I need time to think. I didn't mean for this to happen. Time, he echoed, incredulous. You've already made your choice. Don't waste my time with excuses. He turned on his heel, storming back into the house, leaving Leisha's cries behind him. Each step felt heavy, as if the ground were pulling him down. He needed to escape this nightmare. He needed to breathe. Inside, he grabbed his car keys from the table and stepped into the night. The cool air hit him like a slap, but he welcomed it, letting it wash over him. He climbed into his car and slammed the door shut. The engine roared to life, a fierce growl that matched the storm brewing inside him. Andrew drove aimlessly, the streets blurring past him. He thought about all the moments they had shared, all the laughter that now seemed like a cruel joke. The memories of their wedding day, the first time he held her hand, the way she used to look at him, it felt like a lifetime ago. He parked at a nearby park, stepping out into the quiet night. The moon cast a soft glow over the empty swings and deserted paths. Andrew walked along the trail, the crunch of gravel beneath his feet echoing in the silence. Anger simmered just below the surface, but it was the betrayal that cut the deepest. He came to a bench and sat down, burying his head in his hands. What am I supposed to do now? He muttered to himself, the weight of his pain crashing down like waves. Andrew, a voice broke through the darkness, pulling him from his thoughts. He looked up to see Sarah, an old friend from college. She approached, concern etched on her face. Is everything okay? Not really, he admitted, wiping his eyes. It's complicated. Do you want to talk about it? She asked, sitting beside him. He hesitated, then nodded. It's my wife, Leisha. I just found out that she's been cheating on me with my best friend. Sarah's expression softened, and she placed a hand on his shoulder. I'm so sorry. That's awful. I thought we had a good marriage, he said, his voice cracking. I don't know what went wrong. I feel so betrayed. It's not your fault, she said gently. People can be unpredictable. Sometimes, they don't even know their own hearts. I just wish I had seen the signs, he said, frustration bubbling up. I feel like such a fool. Don't blame yourself for someone else's actions, Sarah urged. You deserve better than this. He turned to her, the sincerity in her eyes grounding him. I don't even know where to go from here. I thought she was the one. You'll find your way, she reassured him. It might take time, but you'll heal. You're stronger than you think. Her words echoed in his mind as he sat in silence, the heaviness in his chest slowly easing. Thank you, Sarah. It helps to talk about it. Anytime, she smiled softly. Just remember that you're not alone in this. As the night wore on, Andrew found solace in her presence. They exchanged stories and laughter, the kind that felt like a breath of fresh air in the aftermath of a storm. Slowly, the darkness began to lift, and for the first time since the revelation, he felt a flicker of hope. But the ache of betrayal remained, and as he drove home that night, he knew he faced a hard choice ahead. He had to confront Leisha again, to demand the truth from her. But this time, he wouldn't let her tears sway him. The next evening, he returned home, his heart heavy but resolute. He found Leisha sitting at the dining table, her hands clasped tightly in front of her, a look of anxiety etched on her face. "Andrew," she said softly, tears glistening in her eyes. "I've been waiting for you." "Leisha, we need to talk," he said, his voice firm. "I want the truth. No more lies." She took a shaky breath, and he could see the turmoil within her. "I know I've hurt you, and I don't expect you to forgive me. But I need you to understand." "Understand what?" he interrupted, frustration bubbling over. "That you love him? That you've been lying to me?" "No. I love you, Andrew," she insisted, her voice breaking. "But I can't deny my feelings for Jack. It's all so confusing." He shook his head, disbelief coursing through him. "Confusing? You think that's an excuse? You've betrayed me, Leisha. I deserve better than this." "I know," she said, tears spilling down her cheeks. "And I don't want to lose you. But I can't pretend I don't have feelings for him." "And you think I can just accept that?" he shot back, heart racing. "What do you want me to do? Just stand by while you two play house?" "No," she cried, desperation evident. "I want you to fight for us. I want you to show me that you love me enough to make this work." His heart ached at her words, the pull of their past flickering like a dying flame. "How can I trust you again? You've shattered everything we built together." "I'll do whatever it takes," she promised, stepping closer, her hands reaching for his. "Just give me a chance to prove it." Andrew felt the warmth of her touch, but it was suffocated by the cold reality of her betrayal. "I can't be your backup plan, Leisha. It's not fair to either of us." She stepped back, her eyes wide, realization dawning upon her. "So, what are you saying? You're just going to walk away?" "Maybe I need to," he said, his voice steady. "Maybe we both do." The silence stretched between them, thick and suffocating. Leisha's shoulders trembled, and he could see the devastation in her eyes. But he couldn't be swayed. "Not this time. Andrew, please," she whispered, voice breaking. "I love you. I don't want to lose you." "Then you should have thought of that before," he replied, turning away, the pain in his chest a bitter reminder of what had been lost. He walked out the door, leaving Leisha behind. The night air hit him like a wave, and he breathed deeply, feeling the weight of his decision settle within him. This was a beginning, not an end. He would heal, he would rebuild, and he would learn to love again, on his terms. As he drove away, the stars twinkled above, a silent promise of hope. The road ahead was uncertain, but he wouldn't face it alone. He had his friends, the support he needed, and most importantly, he had the strength to choose his own path. In the end, Andrew realized that love wasn't just about holding on, sometimes, it was about letting go. And as the miles stretched before him, he felt a flicker of freedom, a light breaking through the darkness.